So with Dakota Kai coming back at SummerSlam, much to a lot of people's surprise, seeing as though she was released from the company a couple months ago, and the fact that she had gone back to her original independent name, as I adjust the camera there, I'm recording with my phone here, but seeing as though she had gone back to her original independent wrestling name, she, like I said, she ended up returning last night to WWE, which, of course, as everybody knows, at SummerSlam this past Saturday, last night, was the first one under the Triple H regime. The first pay-per-view, that is. But, as I mentioned before in my review, and others have touched upon too, even though it was the first pay-per-view under Triple H's regime, you know, his creative control, there was still remnants of Vince McMahon's fingerprints over it. But we did see a lot of changes or alterations to those original plans, especially at the beginning of the night. But now the question is, obviously, who else will, you know, Vince bring back, not Vince, but Triple H want to bring back to the company? Well, we've heard rumors and reports that he wants to smooth things out with Sasha Banks and Naomi, basically Mercedes and Trinity. And some people have indicated that that's a lot easier said than done when it comes to someone like Mercedes / Sasha, more so than Naomi. And I've mentioned this before already when I've talked about Vince stepping down, retiring, and all that. I think the reason people feel that it'll be a lot more difficult with Sasha than Naomi is because Sasha Mercedes isn't dumb. She's not dumb. She knows, you know, something might be up, or she might feel, you know, get this gut feeling that something might be up, and she doesn't want to risk the fact that if she goes back, that she's going to have egg on her face. Because as I said in a previous video, or upcoming video, depending on how you watch this, or one of the videos I've done recently, you know, one question that Dave Meltzer was asked in an interview via Sports Illustrated on the YouTube page was basically, does he think Vince McMahon would come back once things are cleared up? Like, you know, once things are, you know, cleared, the smoke clears, you know, basically he gets through this maybe without a scratch and all that, whatever the case may be. Does Meltzer think he would return? And Meltzer, as I mentioned in the video, pretty much said that knowing how Vince is, Vince would try to make a comeback. Like Vince, basically Meltzer believes that, you know, as I said in the video last night, in the recent video I did, he basically feels that if Vince gets the opportunity, once the smoke clears and everything, and this, on all these allegations and stuff die down, that he would be the kind that would try to make a return to power. And someone like Sasha Banks probably sees this, you know, situation with Vince, knowing how Vince is, and realizes, you know, look, Triple H being in charge is great, but I don't trust the atmosphere right now. I feel, basically, she probably has this feeling, and this is why it's going to be a lot more trickier to bring her back than Naomi. Sasha probably gets this feeling that, you know, once she agrees to come back, that's when, you know, this change will become unchanged, and she doesn't want to chance that. So between her and Naomi is the more likely one than Sasha, but hopefully that will change. Hopefully Triple H can tell them, smooth things out with them, and, you know, explain the situation to the point that they will agree to come back. But besides, you know, the obvious with Sasha and Naomi being at the forefront, the other question is, who else would Triple H consider bringing back? You know, now that, you know, he's running things, Stephanie's running things, Nick Khan's running things, you know, who would he want to bring back? I mean, again, like I said, we saw Dakota Kai come back, you know, alongside Bayley and Io Sky, formerly Io Shirai, you know, under this new stable group called Control, or at least something known as Control. So the question obviously is, who's next? Who would be next on the return list, you know, for Triple H? Like I said in my review for Ric Flair's last match event, Triple H obviously was there, backstage, not just to help celebrate, Rick's last match ever in his career, hopefully, but to also probably talk to some potential recruitments to the company, like the Von Erichs, like Killer Kross, like Mance Warner, like Davey Boy Smith Jr., and so on. He's probably sat down and talked to them about potentially coming in to be part of NXT and eventually the main roster. So, so obviously he was there for that, but we're not talking about potential returns and all that. When it comes to this, we're talking about, well, not potential returns, but what I'm saying is we're not talking about potential first signings or return signings. Okay, let me correct myself. All right, rewind there. What I'm trying to say is we're not talking about potential signings for the first time, but we're mainly talking about return signings, and maybe sprinkled in with the potential. Well, basically, let's just look at it like, who would Triple H bring back and try to sign for the first time? And there's a lot of names out there that will let go from WWE that he'd like to bring back. There's a lot of names out there that have yet to come to WWE that he'd like to bring in. So who would be on his list now that he's running things that he'd like to bring in the future, outside of, starting off with Dakota Kai and potentially trying to get Sasha and Naomi back? Well, let's talk about that. Well, obviously the first two that come to my mind are Johnny Gargano, and Candice Gargano, if you will. Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling, I think, are definitely on the list for Triple H to potentially re-sign to the company. They were both Triple H people, and they both had shots in the Royal Rumble over the past couple of years because of Triple H. Let's not deny that. It wasn't because of Vince, it wasn't because of Bruce, it was because of Triple H that they got a shot in the Rumble, and they got some decent showings. So to me, Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae, in my opinion, are probably next on Triple H's list, and I would not be surprised if he sends both of them to SmackDown. Like, you can put them on Raw, that's great, but I think the most likely place they will end up is SmackDown because, Candice LeRae could really add to that women's division, and Johnny can definitely add to that upper mid-card division and probably compete for something like the Intercontinental Championship. So, in my honest opinion, unbiased opinion, I think the first two names on Triple H's list to bring back to the company are Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. Alright, the next two on the list is another husband and wife pairing, or fiance, soon to be married couple pairing, and that's Killer Kross, known as Karrion Kross in WWE NXT and on Monday Night Raw, and Scarlett Bordeaux. And like I said earlier in the review for Ric Flair's last match event, as well as just now, Killer Kross was probably one of the people, Scarlett and Kross were probably two of the people Hunter was talking to, and there's a good chance that they'll be coming back. And I think when he brings them back, he's going to put them on SmackDown, and he is going to make Kross as he was in NXT. He's going to make him into that killer, the intimidating force. He's going to let Scarlett be Scarlett. He's going to basically package them the way they were originally packaged in NXT before everything went downhill. So Kross and Scarlett are definitely on his list, in my opinion. And just like Johnny and Candice previously, I think they too will be SmackDown bound. And Kross, you can automatically put right into the main event scene. He's got that look, and he definitely looks like a character that could push Roman Reigns to his limits when it comes to the Undisputed title. Whether it is Roman that has it or it's Drew McIntyre, Kross does have that appeal to him to basically be a threat to whatever champion or Universal Undisputed Champion is on SmackDown and Raw, but mostly SmackDown. So yeah, I think Kross and Scarlett will be next on Triple H's list. I think the next one to bring back is going to be Tegan Nox. And I think Tegan will probably more than likely go to Raw. I know you're thinking, well, we need women on the SmackDown roster. Well, you got Scarlett, but I think Tegan is probably more likely to go to Raw because if you want somebody to stand side by side with Becky and Bianca in this feud against Bayley's group, who better than Tegan Nox to stand beside them, who used to be the partner and best friend of Dakota Kai. So I think Tegan Nox is definitely on the list of potential returns for Triple H to make happen. I know people say she's injury prone and all that, and that is true, but Triple H, I think, is going to make sure that when she's brought back, that doesn't happen, and she is treated equally on that division. So, in my opinion, Tegan Nox is going to be the next on the list, and I don't think there's getting any way around that if I'm Triple H. I think the next one that'll be on the list for returns, honestly, I think the next one's on the return list is going to be, and I know this might sound strange because they're currently under contract, but the next ones I think that'll be on Triple H's mind to bring back is going to be Keith Lee and Isaiah and Swerve Strickland, basically Isaiah Swerve Scott. Those two are going to be next, well, not next, but definitely be on Triple H's list to bring back. I know they're currently the AEW Tag Team Champions, but I would not be surprised whatsoever that Triple H tries to find a way to get them out of the contract and bring them back. Yes, Tony Khan has basically laughed it off, thinking, oh, nobody's going to want to come back. I don't know why people are so delusional about that. Here's what Tony Khan doesn't understand, and I say it with all due respect. The WWE, mostly Triple H, along with his wife Stephanie, have more pull than I think even Tony Khan can imagine. So if I'm Tony Khan, I don't laugh this off and anything like it will never happen. If I'm Tony Khan, I take this seriously. I take it seriously as anything in my career, because there's a good chance that they could find a way to legally get certain individuals out of the contract and bring them back. So in my opinion, the next person, or the next two on Triple H's list to get back into WWE is Keith Lee and Isaiah Swerve Scott, Shane Strickland, and to let them be as they were in NXT on the main roster. So those are the two that I think are next, are also going to be on that list. I think the next one that'll be on Triple H's list to make a return to the company. And again, he was one of the people out there tonight performing on the Ric Flair's last match event tour, if you will. Is Davey Boy Smith Jr. I think Davey Boy is going to make a return. He was with the company, then he was let go. So I think he's definitely going to make a return this time, and I think Triple H is going to let Davey Boy Smith, Harry Smith, be himself. He's going to let him be the son of the British Bulldog. He's going to let him live up to being, his dad, being the offspring of his dad. Do his own thing and stuff. So I think Davey Boy Smith Jr. is definitely also on Triple H's list to bring in back into the company, and potentially I think they're going to push him on Monday Night Raw. I think they're going to put him on Monday Night Raw. They're going to give him a big push. So I would expect Triple H to re-sign, in my opinion, Davey Boy Smith Jr. That's just what I think. Next, I think Triple H is probably going to go out and he's probably going to try to re-sign Kairi Sane. I know that sounds a little weird and everything, but I truly feel Kairi Sane is on his radar. Like, she may have wanted to go back to Japan and everything, but we all know why Kairi went back. I think everybody pretty much knows why Kairi went back and everything, but I think honestly, Kairi is going to make a return to the company by Triple H re-signing her, and he's going to let her, just like some people are speculating with Io Sky, to go and compete with Stardom whenever she can, or whenever she has an opening. So I think Kairi Sane is definitely on the list for Triple H to re-sign to a contract, bring back, and I think she will be put on the SmackDown roster. I really do. So I think Kairi Sane will be back, and I think she'll be put on the SmackDown roster. Last but not least, I think the next person Triple H is going to try to make a return, try to get to return. And again, this all has to deal with, whether or not her contract is for how many years, we don't know. But again, it's the same thing with Shane, Strickland, and Keith Lee. I think he's going to try to get Athena back. I think honestly he's going to try to get Ember Moon back, Athena. He's going to bring her back. He's going to basically let her be as she was in NXT originally. Not try to change her or anything. He's going to let her be as she was. So that way, so that way we have, a potential threat to one of the women's championships down the line. So I definitely see him trying to bring back Ember Moon, Athena, and just like I said with Shane Strickland and Keith Lee, I think he will legally try to find a way to get them out of the contracts when the opportunity presents itself. Whether Tony Khan wants to acknowledge that or not, knowing, again, Tony Khan has to realize who he's going to be dealing with here, and that, and that WWE, mostly Stephanie McMahon and Triple H together, can make something happen. So if I'm Tony Khan, like I mentioned earlier, I take this seriously. I don't joke about it. I don't laugh it off. I keep my eyes open, my ears, open as well, my eyes and ears open, and just be ready for potentially the inevitable. But yeah, I think just like, Keith Lee and Shane Strickland, I think Triple H will use any legal means possible to get them out of the contract and bring them back to WWE. And I say the same thing for Athena. I think Athena's going to, be somebody he wants to bring back, and he'll find a way to bring her back, after a certain amount of time. However long that is, it's up to her, it's up to the contract status she has. But yeah, I can definitely see Triple H doing what he wants, doing the same thing for Shane and Keith by legally trying to find a way to get Athena out of a contract to bring her back. And that's just my opinion. But yeah, those are just, several names of men and women that I think Triple H will attempt to persuade to come back along, because if we see him being able to persuade Dakota Kai to come back at SummerSlam, which she did, as well as there's word of trying to smooth things out with Sasha and Naomi, then I think there's a good chance he's going to do the same with a lot of these other talents. Like I said, you can't tell me him being backstage tonight, which he probably was for Ric Flair's last match, that he wasn't not just celebrating with Rick, with Rick and his family and friends, but also trying to recruit talent back into WWE or into WWE for the first time. I think that's exactly what he was doing, along with, celebrating along with Rick. And again, I truly think, in my opinion, these are names, especially those that were involved in Ric Flair's last match event tonight. I think these are names that he's going to try to recruit, or recruit, if you will, recruit is what I'm trying to say, back into the WWE fold for the near future, and even try to legally find a way to bring them back into the fold by potentially finding out when the contract status is going to be up, how much it's going to take to get them back and all that. And again, if I'm Tony Khan, I don't joke around about this. I don't laugh it off. I take it seriously. I keep my eyes and ears open, because he's not dealing with Vince McMahon anymore. He's dealing with Vince's daughter. He's dealing with Vince's daughter's husband, who has competed in the ring, unlike Tony Khan. Both of them actually have competed in the ring, unlike Tony Khan. So he's got to be prepared. He's got to be ready for possible legal action that could be taken to try to get the likes of Keith, Keith Lee, Shane Strickland, and Athena out of the contracts when the opportunity presents itself to bring them back. But those are just my thoughts, guys. What are yours? Do you think maybe I'm pulling for, I'm grasping for straws here? What are your thoughts overall? Comment below, live chat during the premiere, like the video. Super chats and super stickers are open during the premiere of the video, as well as super thanks afterwards. Catch me at BW Roses Discussions, all your favorite audio podcast locations except for Pandora. Also check me out at Venmo at Brian-Warmer-2 and at Cash App at BW Roses 98 to support me there. As well as check me out at VENMO at BW Roses for content you can't get anywhere else except for there, because YouTube will either copyright it or flag it. Also check me out at DeviantArt.com, so that's BVW1979. Check me out at fanfiction.net/Brian.Walmer.1. That's numeral 1. And also check me out at my Teespring store as well for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys, and I will talk to y'all later.